Hey everyone, welcome back to the False Nine podcast. My name's Stephen. I've got Charlie, Luke, Connor with me as per. We're going to go through some of the games coming up this weekend. And I suppose there's no better place to start than London Derby, Tottenham v Chelsea. Huge rivalry, actually. I only found out like last year. It was actually they hated each other so much. Two teams that are flying. Honestly, it's one for me to look at as a Liverpool fan because I see them as the too close to us as it stands. I think it'd be interesting to Mourinho obviously playing against his old club. Lampard v Mourinho. It was the manager and the apprentice, you could say. So many little storylines you can create for this game. Connor, I mean, I think look, Tottenham are probably the more, I'd say, more impressive team this year. I know Chelsea have good form, but Tottenham have actually beaten people of notice. What do you what's like? What are your thoughts on this game coming up? Like, what you think is good? Where do you think it's going to be won or lost?
Um, yeah, well, I mean, like both teams are like in good form at the moment. Spurs obviously last day out they beat Man City 2-0, which I mean I was the only one that predicted Spurs and backed them to win, but like I didn't think they'd win 2-0. And obviously Chelsea beat Newcastle 2-0 as well, which
Yeah,
obviously Man City are a bit trickier to play against. But like again, Kane and Son they seem to be two danger men at the moment, don't they?
yeah,
um, for Tottenham. I mean, Højbjerg, I think, is a good signing, and like he gives them that extra energy in midfield,
yeah,
which they didn't really have before. But yeah, Chelsea, Tammy Abraham is back in the team.
yeah. I actually like. I was surprised that like Tom got left out at the start because every time he came on or like he started the game, he was actually scoring goals. Like, if you look at his stats this season, I don't have them on me. I'm not going to share their fake stats. Like the only stat I really know from other teams is Martial has 0 goals in the Premier League. But like Tammy, the thing with Tammy is like I actually rate him. I think if you look at Werner, right? Uh, Werner played in Leipzig. He had someone beside him. He had Paulson. I think that
Yeah,
actually is a good fit, Tammy and Werner. So Werner could run off him, and Tammy could be his Paulson. I think we've seen that a couple of times. I haven't been watching Chelsea. I've just seen the results. But Charlie, I'm bringing on like the thing with Chelsea is they haven't beat anyone of notice. Like, is there much you can take from these wins they're playing against lesser sides, or do you think they're improving, or do you think it's just like once the big test comes, it'll be like this weekend they'll falter?
I think we'll have to withhold our judgment until they start beating higher quality teams as to whether they
Yeah,
can actually win the league or anything like that. I don't think they can personally, but I think last season they slipped up a lot against like lower quality sides. So I'd say they're definitely taking steps forward and not dropping as many silly points as last season.
yeah. I think that Thiago Silva's been the big like improvements, isn't it, Luke? I think. What do you think Thiago Silva's added? Is like we know he has that leadership because I think he was captain on his debut or something. He has that leadership. Do you think he's kind of mentoring those centre backs that we've always knew Chelsea have had talented centre backs? Zuma, Tomori, Christensen's probably not going to be good enough by the like for Lampard anyway. I don't think he rates him highly, but I just want to know like apart from obviously the leadership and obviously his quality at the back, what else do you think he's added to that Chelsea defence?
He just seems to have added like a lot of experience to the back four. So like his game management is good as well. Like you can see he's not taking any stupid risks. He's just dealing with it, and that's helping them to just win games while keeping clean sheets. He's not doing anything stupid, and he's leading the other centre backs beside him, and they look like better players now that he's come in. So at the start, you didn't really see anything, but he's really started to have an effect now, and they've kept a lot of good clean sheets the past few games, so it's quite promising.
I think to add to that, Connor, the Mendy. I mean, I think when we put bottom, it was like, look, that is an improvement on Kepa because, like, let's be real, a blind person is an improvement on Kepa the way he's been performing. Do you think with Thiago Silva, like obviously he's not gonna be able to play every game this season. Like he's 36.
Yeah.
Do you think they might become over reliant on him? Because I feel like they have looked shaky without him. And you think they might become over reliant on Thiago Silva to play every game?
Yeah, like possibly, but I think like Thiago Silva, he's sort of, people are learning, like the people around him, like the young lads in the defense with him, like they're learning valuable experience, or sorry, they're gaining valuable experience from playing with him. So like they'll learn sort of, like Thiago Silva, he's obviously not the quickest, but like he's a very intelligent defender. He knows where to be, and you saw him against was him against United when he put that block in on Cavani. He's
Yeah,
played with him so many times before. He knows him inside out. And like the younger lads will not, like Thiago Silva, we know like he won't be able to play every game, but I think the lads around him, like as I said, they'll learn and they'll gain experience off him. Like Mendy, obviously, like to have a keeper net that isn't like Kepa. I like he was probably the worst keeper in the Premier League,
oh
if
definitely.
I'm honest.
I think it's a low
Um,
percentage.
yeah, but like to have someone like Mendy in net now, he's making really good saves. He's obviously gained a lot of confidence. I'm just looking back now. I think they've conceded in the Premier League. They've conceded like one goal like in the last like 5 or 6 games, I think. And
Yeah.
they're like unbeaten in ages. So like the younger lads around them, as I said, like they will gain a lot of confidence. But yeah, Thiago Silva, like I think they know that like he won't be fit for the whole season. Like he will get tired, he will get injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think. Look, moving on to Tottenham, of course. I think they look a more impressive kind of machine. It's more, it's not all these individual talents that like for Lampard that he has to kind of like morph into a team and fit them all in. I think you look at Tottenham. If you go around the team, you're not looking apart from Kane and maybe Son. You're not really looking at superstars. You're looking at team players who are buying into Mourinho's philosophy and are playing for the shirt really kind of. And it reminds me a little bit of Mourinho at his best at a lesser club. Maybe to start with Chelsea or especially with Inter, where they're getting these big scalps, especially against City. One of the big players I've been impressed with is Højbjerg from Southampton, of course. Charlie, what do you think that was just such a? I think at the time everyone was like, "Yeah, that's such a Mourinho buy." Did you think he'd be this good? Like when he joined, or were you expecting him to improve under Mourinho?
From what I'd seen of him at Southampton, I thought he was quite an average player. I think they got him for around 15 million or something because he was pushing for a move away, and he's proved to be a great buy. He just adds him and Sissoko in the midfield. Just add like they're not. It's like Fred and McTominay for United. They're not the big names, but they get the job done. Like they win the balls back and then give it to the players who can actually hurt teams. And yeah, it's working really well for them at the moment. So I think as well, Serge Aurier has been great this season. I think Doherty has come in, and to be honest, he hasn't been great. I think he's lacking the fitness levels of a natural right back. So Aurier's had to come in and take his place. I thought he was brilliant for the most part against City. I'd say it's been one of his best games. So yeah, if he can keep up that form, then I'd say it'll be difficult for Doherty to get back into the team.
Yeah, the Doherty one's interesting. Obviously, he's a wing back. He was very good at Wolves. Aurier, like we always thought he was a talented right back. He clearly has. Like a good PSG. I've seen him a few times, and this guy has potential being one of the best. But he obviously has that kind of lapse in concentration, always prone to give away a penalty or do something stupid. But I think Mourinho has really improved him, calmed him down a little bit. He isn't as erratic as he was. I think he's fitting in nicely. I mean, we can talk about Kane and Son, Luke. Is there a better duo in world football at the moment than them two?
I mean, you'd have to probably say, well, Neymar and Mbappe, I'd say probably better than them. But on current form, you'd probably have to say no.
I think they're just I mean, I think Son was always known as like a perfect patch player, but I think this season, this a good bit, I think, and I think he's really enjoying it under Mourinho, kind of playing on the counter, and he has more space, and he's linking up with Kane really well. I don't know if you watched the Tottenham documentary about obviously Mourinho Tottenham, and there's a part where he was talking to Kane about wanting to explode because there was fears that he'd move on to Real Madrid the way it was going for Tottenham, or he'd move over to a bigger club. And Mourinho just said, I want him to explode. He said to him, I want you to explode under me. And I was kind of watching, I was like, all right, we'll see what happens. But he's done that. I mean, Kane, I don't think there is a better player in the world on form, apart from maybe Haaland or something like that. He's been so good. I mean, we can move on to predictions now. Connor, you can go first.
Yeah, like I mean, could go either way. I'm gonna back Spurs to win 2-1. I backed them against City to win 2-1. They won 2-0. Yeah, I just think Mourinho is just like he's got them playing really good football. And you're saying there about Harry Kane, he's adapted his game, so he's sort of dropping deeper now, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I think Son is Chelsea problems probably. So yeah, 2-1.
2-1 Tottenham. Away win at Stamford Bridge. What about you, Charlie?
I'm going to go with 0-0. I think against United, Chelsea pretty much did fuck all. And, Mourinho, he likes to sit back in big games as well. So I can see just a stale game here, if we're being honest. I'm going to go with 0-0. But if there is a goal, I'd still back it to be a draw in the end anyway. So, yeah, a draw.
And Luke, what about yourself?
I was also going for it to be a pretty boring game, but I said just because of the form Kane and Son are in that Tottenham would score. So I am still going to go with 1-1 though, because I just think it's going to be a pretty boring game. Just because Lampard and Mourinho in the big games this season, they just seem like they'd rather just not lose than actually go for a win. So I'd say it'll be a draw.
I'm going to go with 2-1 Tottenham. I think if you look at Chelsea this season, they've been good at parts, but in the big games they haven't done well at all. And I think they're still a step below. I think they're still a step below Tottenham. I think Mourinho will have a game plan in place that will definitely. I think you'll outclass Lampard, in my opinion, at the weekend. So I'm going with 2-1 Tottenham. So I mean, no Chelsea wins. That has nothing to do with not liking Chelsea. I just think Tottenham are going to win. That's really it. Brighton, Liverpool. I mean, obviously it's hard to not take into consideration last night losing to Atalanta, but I think if we bring it back to the Leicester game, Connor, loads changes, kind of a weak side, still outclassed them. It's just the mentality that of constantly going to win every game and constantly. For the majority winning every game. Do you think that's just pulling us through at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I know like Firmino, like he did waste a few chances, but like it was quite a clinical performance. Like the amount of, I know like they created a lot of chances, but like to win 3-0 against one of the best teams in England at the moment, like is a big statement, especially with the amount of injuries. Yeah. I thought Jota and Firmino, like I thought they both played quite well together. It's annoying the fact that Keita finally comes back into the team, then he has to go off injured. It seems like it's a hamstring injury, I think, is it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a couple of weeks by the looks of it.
So yeah, it'll probably be a few weeks. I mean, the positive news is Thiago might be back.
Hopefully. I thought he was going to be back for the international break, but
yeah, it's a hard one to call. And then obviously, I'm trying to look at the news on it here. There isn't really much else to say. Henderson, I think he's working away, but I think it'll be too soon for him at the weekend, to be honest. So might have to see another Curtis Jones performance again. But
yeah,
I have to say, I thought Milner against Leicester, I thought he fitted in really well at right back, to be fair to him. And Robertson was excellent again at left back. The defense, hopefully it's not like the game last night in the Champions League. Because I mean, that was just shaky, wasn't it? Conceding those 2 goals, and they were poor goals as well to concede.
I think it was just a poor performance, to be honest. You just looked at tired
Yeah.
performance. I'm not overly disappointed because I think we'll still top the group. Anyways, but look, with the change we had to make, one of these results are going to have to come. Like, you can't win every game with a depleted squad, but with Salah be back in now properly. At the weekend, hopefully Henderson, hopefully Thiago, Trent to come back next week. It is looking up for us still, despite the loss. Charlie, do you see anything in it for Brighton at home? I know it doesn't really make a difference, but anything?
I think a couple of the big sides have gone to Brighton now, United and Chelsea, and even though they both won, they both struggled a bit. I know Liverpool are clear about United and Chelsea, but Brighton will make it difficult. I think Liverpool seem to struggle some of the time when they play against a back 3 or a back 5. I think we used it against you twice last season, and it kind of worked in both games. Like, we could have easily got something out of both games if we had taken our chances.
But you lost 1 in Anfield, didn't you?
Yeah, but like,
I was checking. Sorry, I was checking.
We could have scored at least 2 or 3 at Anfield. I think Atalanta played a back 3 as well, and they pretty much played you off the park, if we're being honest. Like, you didn't get a shot on target. I think the form of Mane might be a slight concern. I think it's his longest period without a goal in the Premier League, and yesterday was absolutely shocking, if we're being honest.
He looked wrecked to me. He looks like someone who shouldn't even been starting. Judge, I think he's been playing well. I know he hasn't scored, but I think he's been playing well. He played well against Leicester. I thought he was class. I don't think he's been. I think last night he looked tired, so we might not see him on the weekend. We might see Jota, Firmino, and Salah at the weekend. I think Mane looks tired, but yeah, I mean, Luke, for like, in terms of Brighton and Graham Potter, he's obviously, I think he signed a new contract last season. They look like they play better football. Have you seen much improvements from when they were under Chris Hughton, or do you think it's just the same? They'll just survive come the end of the season?
Well, obviously now they've got in Potter and they're playing a more expansive style. But like, you'd have to say, if you're looking at league table position, there hasn't been much improvement. They started last season very well. You thought they were onto something, then they went to shit midway through, and they were down towards the bottom end of the table. And they've started this season all right. They don't really have a clinical striker. I mean, Mope scores a few goals. Conley just a bit of a pace merchant, and then Welbeck is injury prone.
Yeah.
So, like, there's not really, like, you can look at the football they're playing and say, yeah, that's better, but the results are what matter at the end of the day, and they're not any higher up in the table than they were with Houghton, so it's not really that much of an improvement if you look at it like that.
Yeah. Connor, how big of a miss is Lamptey, do you think? Tariq Lamptey, the right wing back. I don't think he's fit to play. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I don't think he is going to be fit. Yeah, like, obviously, like, it is big loss. Like, Brighton, obviously, like, they play the wing back, so it's sort of, as like, I think it was Luke or Charlie was saying there, like, Liverpool, they do seem to, like, have a bit of difficulty sort of breaking down like a back 5 or back 3.
Yeah.
And also another point I was going to mention there is Lallana and Welbeck playing together, with Solly March as well. Like, I think the 3 of them are actually, like, they seem to be playing good football at the moment.
Yeah,
but like,
respect Lallana.
I don't know. It's just one of those games. Like,
Yeah.
I can't see Brighton getting anything out of the game. Like, I think again, like,
I think-
obviously they
yeah.
beat Villa 2-1, but like, Villa dominated that game. They absolutely dominated it, and Brighton got, like, obviously they got 2 goals on the break, but against Liverpool, like, I think they'll just try and park the bus, but it won't work. Jota's going to score, and Bobby Firmino is red hot for him at the moment. He's going to score as well.
Yeah. What are our predictions for this game? I'll go first. I think we'll win. We went there last year just after lockdown, post-lockdown stuff. We won 3-1, I think. I think I'll probably 2-0 maybe. We'll probably just do what we usually do. and just grind out another kind of okay result, okay performance. Hopefully Thiago's back and stuff. But yeah, I'm going with 2 now. What about you, Connor?
I was gonna go 2-0. I'm done a copy, so I'm gonna go 3. I'll go 3-0 to be honest. Bobby Firmino to score again.
Yeah, as per. Charlie, what about you?
I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. I think with your current defence, you'll definitely concede because, Welbeck is just red hot. Apparently, you score 1-1, and apparently you're in unbelievable form. So,
Firmino was bagging for Brazil. Firmino was bagging for Brazil while Martial was missing sitters. Look, we're not the same. Let's just drop it. Luke, what about you?
I'm going to go with 3-1 Liverpool. However, I am going to go with that guy Wales to get on the score sheet.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're all expecting Liverpool to win. Hopefully, they can do so. I mean, moving on to a game against a team who are in the European places and then a team who aren't in the European places. And I think might be in the bottom half. Not right? No, I'm not talking about Southampton. Oh, wait, hang on. Are they
literally not in the bottom half, mate?
No, they're not. They're not, in fairness.
Half this week. Fair play. I think, look.
They're up to, where are they up to? Oh, you literally said we're not in the bottom half. You're 10.
Look,
we have a game in hand.
Look, we're talking about, it doesn't matter anyway. We're talking about a team who, in the European places.
It's embarrassing.
And a team who are in 10th and below Southampton are United. Last time out, United won 1-0. I know it wasn't the greatest performance, but I think you just needed to grind out their results.
They got the job done, in fairness, in the end.
They got the job done. Wolves drew with Southampton. I'm actually looking forward to this game. I think it'll be tighter. It'll also be a tight game. I think Southampton have been impressive this season. If United can turn it on, I think it'll be tough for Southampton to keep them out. It's just a question if they can turn it on. Charlie, is there any worries going into this game against Southampton, who I think are 5th at the moment and doing well?
I think we consider them our bogey team because last season we didn't beat them at all. I don't think we beat them the season before either. I think Hasenhuttl has been playing really well with their pressing style, and Che Adams has come into a bit of form now as well. I'm not sure who is going to partner him up front, but they clearly have a very good system, and we struggled to play against it last season. I think if we play as poorly as we did against West Brom, we're not going to get anything out of the game. I think we were absolutely shocking against West Brom, to be honest. We all expected a hatful of goals, and it didn't pan out like that. I think Rashford and Martial were both poor again. They both missed relatively easy chances for the level of player we're talking about. We kind of bounced back against Istanbul during the week, but they're just dreadful, for being honest. We should be beating them handily. So I think we're definitely going to have to play well to get something out of this game. And I know I said it last week, but I'm going to say it again. I'm hoping to see Greenwood, Martial and Rashford back together, because I think that will give us our best chance of actually beating their press and actually scoring a few goals.
That's actually what I wanted to move on next. So I wanted to ask Luke this: the front three. Obviously, Cavani is kind of fourth. Cavani, who's about 40 next year, I think. He's fourth. Then Martial to the left, and Rashford to the right. To be honest with you, I think, if I'm being completely honest, I think that's just so counterproductive. I think Martial's more effective down the middle. I know he can play left wing, but the fact that you're putting Rashford right wing, when I think he's a better left winger, and Greenwood sitting there. Why do you think Ollie's trying to get Cavani into this team, Luke? Is he just trying to? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a clue what he's doing because he's a PE teacher. But being real, why is he trying to put Cavani into this team? Why is he trying to fit him in somewhere?
I think it's too early to say he's trying to fit in Cavani. I mean, he started one game against a team that we should be rotating against because they're not very good. So if he continues to start Cavani, then the questions will have to be asked, why is he trying to rotate Cavani in? But I just don't get the United fans who are just his movement, oh, it's so good. His movement, it's wow, it's good on the eye, but did he score? No. Did he get an assist? No. You have to put things into perspective. Martial likes dropping deep, getting the ball to his feet in between the lines. Cavani likes playing on the shoulder, getting in behind. Two completely different strikers. You can't criticise Martial based on the fact that Cavani plays on the shoulder when Martial doesn't do that. Like, you have to accept that they're different players, and you can't just go, oh, Martial has to play the exact same way Cavani has to, because ultimately that's not the style Ollie wants to play either. So I'm not sure where this Cavani praise is coming from, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he obviously is a different player, as you said. The Cavani thing, look, his movement is good. I'll give you that. You don't really lose that. You might lose the pace, but you don't really lose that instinct. Last year, PSG, he was woeful. Like, he missed, I think you said it, Charlie. It was like what was it? A big chance every game he missed.
He's played 14 games and missed 16 big chances, and 2 seasons before that he missed 37 big chances.
Yeah, the thing is though, it would be okay if he offered something else. He doesn't really offer anything else but the finishing and the goals, which he was one of the best at in his pomp.
People think he's a clinical striker, and I'd suggest them actually going and watching a few of his highlights or a few of his games, because he needs at least 2 or 3 chances to score a goal. He's like Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, I think if obviously maybe moving back to the midfield, no Pogba again. Maybe do you keep Van de Beek in? I don't see a reason why he should be out of the team. Bruno he's been brilliant. I know he gets the banter on Twitter, but he's been brilliant this season. You can't say otherwise. And then maybe put a Fred in behind the two of them. Is there a way for Pogba into this team, or do you just keep Van de Beek, Bruno, and then maybe play Matic or Fred? Luke, sorry, that was for you.
Well, Van de Beek, I didn't get to watch the game on Tuesday, but apparently he played well. But also our defence apparently was shaky. Now, I think it's time to stop covering up the defence with 2 defensive midfielders. At the end of the day, if you're a defender for Man United, you should be good enough to defend 1v1, and they're just not good enough. So that's the reason we have to play 2 defensive midfielders. But if Ollie, it's up to Ollie whether he plays Fred McTominay and wants the defensive solidity, or he goes, right, we're just going to try and outplay these and outscore them and go with Van de Beek or Pogba in the midfield. So being away from home, he'll probably resort back to Fred McTominay, considering he doesn't seem to have much trust in Van de Beek yet. But it's really up to the way Ollie wants to play, to be honest.
And they're coming against a Southampton side that we know what their style is, pressing. Of course, the high line will benefit United. I think so. Connor, for Southampton, obviously Ings, like we know, if we're talking about who's impressed you this season, it's Ings. Why do you think it was going so poorly for Aston Villa? What do you think he's changed to kind of, because ever since that 9-0 against Leicester, it has been an upward trajectory, to be fair to them. What do you think's changed since that result last season?
To be honest, I think like after that Leicester match, like the whole team, like they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like first of all, and secondly, like it does take a manager time to implement the style of play that he wants. That's why, like we saw Klopp at Liverpool, like he took a couple of years to get them going. But I think that 9-0 really like sort of drove home to the players, like, listen, you need to get your act together. And like, yeah, it has been uphill. I think he's been doing lots of work, like with Ward-Prowse especially. He's essential midfielder, centre forward nearly at times. I'm sure if this stat's right or not, but he's covered the most ground in the Premier League. Like he's one of the players who's covered the most ground in the Premier League. So I think his individual work with individual players has really improved them. But I think I'd be very worried about that left-hand side with Bertrand at left back. If he's up against Rashford, possibly. If Rashford's out on the right, I don't know.
Yeah.
Might bring in Dan James for the game. I couldn't tell you. But Bertrand is disgraceful. Like he's such a bad left back. And you're saying the high line as well. Like United will get in behind There's no doubt about that. I think they'll probably have Walcott and Shea Adams up front again. Which obviously Shea Adams is coming into form now. He was, when he came from Birmingham, everyone was like, oh, he's the amount of goals he scored in the championship, and I can't remember how long he went without scoring a goal. But like, since that first goal went in, he's been playing really well. Like it's not just his goal scoring, but it's his sort of movement and creativity to get the assists and stuff like that now.
Yeah, they'll definitely miss Ings, I think. He's still injured, but it wasn't as bad as first few years, which I'm delighted because he's had some shocking injuries over the last few seasons. I mean, I still to get someone in this game. I mean, just move on to predictions. Charlie, Southampton United, St. Mary's. What are we saying?
Optimistic 3-0 United.
You do know you're 10th. Like, you are 10th in the. Like,
that's irrelevant.
You're below West Ham. You're below West Ham.
We have a game in hand. That's irrelevant. I don't see any of this attitude towards Manchester City and Arsenal, who are below us in the table, yet we're in some sort of crisis. When
we're going to move on to them. Don't you worry. I'm going to rip into Pep. Don't you worry. Luke, what you say of what score?
I think if you look at our away record recently in the Prem, it's been extremely good, and this is a lot like the Everton game we played a few weeks ago. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 win.
Yeah, your away form's actually class, to be fair, so I'll give you that. I'm, in fact, going for... I think I'll go 2-2, actually. Yeah, 2-2. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to go 2-2 as well. I think in fairness to United, like, this game, like, it does suit them, like, away from home. Like, even though they have no fans there, their away form still seems to be good against Southampton. Although, like, you do say, oh, they're the bogey team and stuff like that, but, like, there seems to be, like, a lot of draws in the game. And with the form Southampton are in, like, I can see them conceding, but I can also see them scoring. So, 2-2.
2-2. I'm looking forward to that game.
Should be a good game of football to watch anyway.
Yeah, hopefully it's not. I hope it's not Borefest, because they're two teams that like to go forward and play nice football anyway. Luke, your wish is going to be granted. We're moving on to the ball fraud. That is Pep Guardiola, and they're up against Burnley. Look, I think we all kind of agree that they're going to beat Burnley, who are shocking at football, who are actually 17th. Jeez, they're Pep. Like, we can touch on what went wrong last weekend. Luke, I want to ask you first. What is like? It's hard to put your finger on one thing, but do you think Pep has just lost a bit of an edge this season, and it's affecting the team?
I wouldn't say that Pep has lost the edge. I'd say City have just lost their edge in general. I mean, they don't have Aguero. Their attack looks nowhere near as good as it was. Their midfield looks open with Rodri in there. To be fair, Diaz and Laporte have been good since they've been paired together. But I think if you just look at it, City's pressing is nowhere near what it was a few years ago. They don't seem to have the energy they have had the last few seasons. And also De Bruyne has been quite poor this season, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I think.
And that's the reason why they're not doing as well.
Let's pick up on a couple of things you said. I think, obviously, I was joking about saying the ball fraud. Like, I actually think it's more players this season. They don't look as motivated. As you mentioned, the press. The whole point was Fernandinho was able to perform at that level because he got more protection in front of him with the press. And since they're not pressing aggressively enough, you saw Tottenham were able to play through them. We were able to play through them at times. And teams are able to kind of transition easier against them. They not get pressed as highly. And I think De Bruyne and whoever's playing beside him, whoever's playing ahead of Rodri, are probably a bit too high up, and Rodri gets exposed. Now, you know my opinion on Rodri. We don't have to go over it for the 15th time, but I think you have to add a bit of context to why he's performing. And I think Pep, the double pivot might suit him better, but Fernandinho's getting old. So there is a dilemma there for Pep. I don't think it's all his fault. I think he has made some strange decisions this season anyway. But yeah, I think, look, they'll probably beat Burnley. The De Bruyne thing, the thing with De Bruyne is, like, I don't know what Charlie kind of think about this. You can put in, I don't think he's been playing poorly at all, in my opinion. If you look at his stats, they're still decent. I think if you look at the amount of chances he creates for the likes of Sterling and Jesus, and Charlie mentioned easier, like Jesus need loads of chances as well. He has been, I think against us, I know he missed a penalty, but he was still good against us. I thought he was good. But yeah, I don't think he's at the level he was last season anyway. Kind of know what you think about De Bruyne and his form and just the City kind of midfield in general so far this season.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't seem as like sort of dynamic as it was last season at all. Doesn't sort of have the same flow it had before. But I think De Bruyne, I think, as you said, I don't think he's necessarily playing that badly. I think he's just, when he was sort of creating chances for Aguero is so, like, he's one of the most clinical strikers in world football, and he was just able to score. Whereas Jesus and Sterling, they just need so many chances. And obviously with David Silva gone now, I think he's a massive loss to them. Just the experience he has working with De Bruyne in midfield. They really miss him, and Vincent Kompany as well. Like they've lost a lot of leaders in the team, especially with Aguero gone as well. It's like one of the most experienced player from each position nearly they've lost. If you get me, like a centre back, midfielder, and a striker.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of ties in. Yeah, sorry. Go on.
I think like Man City, like they're through to the Champions League, round of 16 now. Like I know it's against Burnley, but like you can't see them losing. Like they're just gonna win. It's gonna be a typical Pep performance. It might only be 1-0, it might be 2-0, like, but you just know they're gonna win.
Yeah. I think to pick up on you said, obviously they've lost that kind of spine, and it's what I wanted to ask Charlie. Did the two contracts kind of leave everyone a bit confused as if there is going to be a rebuild at City, if there is going to be a kind of refresh, you saw Ferran Torres and bringing new players in, does a 2-year contract kind of show that they're not fully backing Pep? And we know Pep sometimes kind of loses interest when he's not fully back. What's your thoughts? Charlie.
Wait, you just...
Sorry, I said your name at the start. Sorry. Yeah, like, so what's your thoughts on like the whole contract situation with Pep and the fact that they only gave him 2 years? Because the rebuilds you probably would give him 4 minimum.
Sorry, you broke up the first time.
No worries.
I think it's strange the way they've given him a contract, because the performances and the results haven't really warranted it. I know he's won a load of League Cups and won the Prem, a season ago, 2 seasons ago. So, like, but they've just been poor recently. I think if you look at their attack, you used to look at their attack and think that's probably one of the best attacks in the world with the strength and depth they have. And you look at it now and you'd probably say it's one of the worst in the top 6, if we're being honest. Like, I think Bernardo Silva, he's come back from injury again. And if we're being honest, it's looking like he was a bit of a one-season wonder, because he's been dreadful last season. He's not been good this season. I think people are labeling Ferran Torres as the bargain of the season, when in reality he hasn't done anything for City. He's just scored a hat-trick for Spain, and everyone's just overreacted, saying he's a golden boy now, which I disagree with. I think he's nowhere near Sané, as I've already said. I'd say Sterling, like, he's a great player, but he's not clinical. Jesus, he was overhyped as a youngster. He's all right. Like,
yeah,
he can score after a couple of chances as well. And I think Mahrez is their best winger, and Pep Guardiola doesn't seem to think so. So he constantly gets benched or hooked after 60 minutes. So it's definitely strange. I think they'll definitely be after a few attackers. I know Mbappe might be available. I can't see him going to City though. And I'd say nearly every big club in Europe will be in for Haaland. So it'll be interesting. I do think Pep is waiting to see if he can get his hands on Messi, and then seeing where he can go from there. So
yeah,
if they get Messi, obviously they might go up a tier. But the way Messi's been playing this season, he hasn't hit the levels that he has previously. I don't know whether he's just disinterested, but
Yeah.
City definitely need to improve. And I think if the results don't pick up, I wouldn't be surprised if City don't fulfill that 2-year contract.
Yeah. Look, we can do predictions for the kind of sake of it. I'm gonna go. I mean, it's Burnley, man. Like it's not really I don't know. Maybe we'll go. Oh, they're at home, Man City. Yeah, 3-0. 3-0 City, definitely. What about you, Connor?
Yeah, it's going to go 3-0 as well.
Charlie?
2-0.
Luke?
2-0.
Yeah. So, look, we have a bit of time left. We'll move briefly on to Arsenal, who are playing, if I'm not mistaken, they are playing Wolves, as far as I'm aware. Yes, they are playing Wolves. Absolutely dreadful to watch. They don't create much. It seems to be a bit of a mess at the moment. With obviously Pepe getting sent off. Look, Pepe, we can talk for hours about him. So it's been nearly 2 years. Why do you think it's all of a sudden slowed down? They seem to have this momentum. Why do you think it's all of a sudden slowed down, Jerry?
I feel sorry for their attackers, to be honest, because he throws 3 of them into the side, and one of them, usually Lacazette, has to drop deep to actually pick up the ball. So it's actually only 2 of them or 4 most of the time. The wingers sort of pull in behind Lacazette and come centrally. And I think there's just not enough players forward. I think the midfield lacks quality. They can't provide the attack with any decent passes. I think you can clearly see that Pepe, you can see he has a bit of quality about him, but like I think the system he's currently playing in isn't helping him at all. I think same with Aubameyang. Obviously, he's a world-class striker. Hasn't been playing down the middle recently. I think he played down the middle against Leeds, and then Pepe got himself sent off. So like, you can't really account for that. I think they were definitely lucky to get anything out of that Leeds game. Leeds missed loads of chances, hit the bar and the post. I think Lampard needed to be a bit more clinical. But yeah, Arsenal, they need to. If I would probably abandon that 3 at the back, to be honest, because it's like their goal of the month is currently a penalty from Aubameyang. That was the only goal they scored last month.
It was against you, though, wasn't it? And they beat you.
Yeah.
And Aubameyang and Lacazette danced on your own ground.
Yeah. Well, that
I was clearing that up. Sorry.
It was an awful performance from us. From Pogba.
Luke and Connor quickly. What about Luke's first, actually? Wolves, obviously, look, we have to talk about them. I've been a decent for a while. Do you maybe getting something from this, mate? Like, do you think a vulnerable Arsenal side who are not playing well, do you think they can get something from this?
Looking at the way Wolves have been playing this season, I mean, they just seem to be. I mean, it's just Jimenez and Frey, really, isn't it? Like, they put a Dama back in the last game. They looked a bit more dangerous. They actually switched from their 5-back formation when they went 1-0 down against Southampton, and they actually looked more dangerous. They just seem to be sitting behind the ball, and it's actually quite infuriating to watch Wolves. I mean, they don't put any pressure on whatsoever. They sit behind the ball and they allow the opposition to give it back to them, but it's just a boring watch every time. And if you partner that with Arteta's also boring style, then I think you could have a 0-0 here.
Yeah, and just quickly on that, do you think maybe Arteta needs to tweak? Just Charlie was referenced to it a few seconds ago. Do you think he just needs to tweak it for this game and try something different? He has played towards back at times. Do you think he should tweak it for this game?
Yeah, possibly. Like Arsenal, to be honest, as we were saying before, like they seem to just be spineless at the moment. They don't seem to have the fight at the moment. If I was Arteta, I'd bring Saka into the team again. To be honest, I don't think was he playing against Leeds or not.
Did he come on? Or, no, he played actually, didn't he? I think he might have started actually, or he came
Was
on. I can't
Willian?
remember.
Did
He
Willian?
got
I thought
injured.
Willian started.
He got
Did
injured.
Willian come on then? Oh, okay.
He started, and I think Saka came on.
But like obviously, like
Right.
Pepe getting sent off, like it's just stupid.
Not
Like
great.
it sums up Arsenal season really so far. Like they've just they're like it's not even like Arsenal used to be good to watch, but they're not now. They try and get it to Aubameyang. It doesn't work. Kieran Tierney gets like turned over, and then they concede a goal. Wolves, I was watching them against Southampton for the second half, and like Wolves genuinely like they do have the potential to be a good team. And like when they sort of have a purple patch every so often in a game, and like with Wolves, like they will have their purple patch in the game, and you've seen they're really good in the second half. So Wolves will be patient, they'll wait for their chance, and I wouldn't be surprised. I expect Wolves to win this game, to be honest.
What score are you going for?
I'm gonna go with 2-1. I'm gonna go with an Aubameyang penalty, and then Wolves to score 2.
I'm going with 1-1 Fest. Luke?
I'm going to stick to the 0-0 that I said.
Okay, and Charlie?
Going to go 2-0 Wolves.
I know they RP Maradona. I think any player we grew up was inspired by him. And I think yesterday was such a sad day. Kind of capped off a shit year. So here's the 2021. Hopefully, I want that. I wish it was fucking New Year's Eve because I'm sick of this year. But I think all of us here, we didn't watch, but we heard in Argentina have lost an absolute cult hero and a legend. I think, look, thanks lads for joining anyway. Luke, Charlie and Connor. I mean, we'll be back next week when Liverpool eventually win, or inevitably win, and United inevitably lose. Thanks everyone for watching. Please like, subscribe and share with your mates as well. That'd be so much appreciated. And thanks for the support so far. We've really enjoyed making these, and we carry on in the future.